Welcome to this special extraordinary group that is present here today. Each one of you so special, and actually talking on this topic of ordinary and extraordinary. Everyone present here is just extraordinary. Would you like to say something, Srishti, Tanvi, before I go ahead?
Yes, Auntie, that is so sweet. Actually, you made our morning so much brighter on this gloomy day. It became so sweet with that kind of introduction. In
Hmm.
fact, thank you so much. Auntie, every Sunday we are filled with the much needed fresher perspective on various topics dealing with not just us, but our lives also. So today is yet another a new day and a new perspective that you're filling us with. As we are all blessed with the same amount of 24 hours in a day, some are able to achieve their work effectively in 8 hours, and some are able to give their best results in 3 hours, while some find that 24 hours are very less. This work, that what I'm referring to, can be referred to doing as office work or a simple household course, or as simple as maintaining that healthy mindset. But what makes it one different from another is something that counts. But what is it that makes the difference is that we are eagerly waiting to know. And how can we cultivate to make better each moment is what we actually want to know from you. This all matters because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little bit extra.
Absolutely. Thank you for those wonderful words, Srishti. And yeah, again, this quote just came upon somewhere. I read it somewhere and I just clicked a picture because it just struck a little note. And like Srishti said, it's not just about the hours that we have in the day or whatever lifespan we have. All of us want to make it, want to make it to something more than just a normal life. And if we don't feel that way, then definitely we should think of making every moment of this precious life really, really extraordinary. And how can you make it extraordinary? You can only make it extraordinary by first yourself becoming extraordinary. And I don't really believe that everybody isn't that. I truly believe that each one of us are special and each one of us come with our own special qualities, with our own special virtues, with our own, say, even special baggage from the past. But we needn't allow it, or we needn't be with it in such a way that it, limits us in moving ahead in life. And so we all want to feel special, isn't it? We all want to feel more than just ordinary. And just a little compliment that, wow, this is different from the others. So if you have to be or make yourself a little different from the so-called normal thing, we always have to have that kind of courage to step beyond or look beyond just the things that are very conditioned. You know what I mean? So a lot of times people say, oh, I don't have the confidence to do that. But actually, today I wanted to emphasize that we don't need confidence. Confidence is something which, when even the most, say, the least confident person, when they come to a dead end or they come to the tip of a say mountain or something, they do something happens to them and energy comes into them to take them ahead. But what one needs to do is to have a lot of courage, because to be extraordinary, it means traveling on the path which is less walked upon, or choosing, making that choice, because I truly believe that at every point in our lives we have a particular choice to make, and choosing that path, which may not be easy, which may not be something that most people have walked upon or even that you are familiar with, taking that leap of faith or taking those risks, that requires courage. And that is exactly what helps us to become just a little different from the normal. And when we do that, or when we accomplish that, for some it's very easy. For some people it's like taking risks, or doing taking up challenges is very easy, and they in fact love to do it. But for most it is not easy. For most of us it is not easy. And then life or God is so kind to us, or so benevolent, that they put us in a situation where we need to make that choice. If we are ready, and if from our heart we say, yes, I want to walk that extra path, or I want to be that, say, extraordinary person, then God will put something in your path that you will come to a point where you will need to choose between two options. And that is the time when we require a mindset or a courage to choose the one which is probably a little different from the regular and the normal one. So that is something that we need to reflect on. And why is it that we don't make that choice is something that I would like to ask you all. Why is it when you see somebody, or you see, somebody who's reached a peak or has achieved something which is not so easily achievable or normal, one would question or one would ask that, why am I not there where I see the others? We've all got the same education. We've been in school together for 13, 14 years, exposed to the same teachers, studied the same amount, gone to the best of institutes and universities. Why am I not able to make it, and why is someone else able to make it? It's only because they choose a path which, and their focus is such that they put in that little extra, and they choose that path which would be a little more challenging. And hence, when you walk on that path with that little extra effort, and you say that yes in your heart, you will see that you will reach that point of being a little special, doing something different, or actually looking at life or enjoying life from a point where it is extraordinary. And actually, I want you all to share if this makes sense or no. Gitanjali, Monica, Vinita, good to have you here.
Good morning, Vivi.
Good morning. Pooja, Anjali, anybody can speak. Please share, because what is it that stops you from taking that path?
I think, Auntie, very well correct that you said that, it's always, when someone has achieved something, we always, we always say that, okay, that person has achieved, but we do not see the labor that has been put up. Personally, I feel that it's kind of a little pull back nature of mine, or that laziness that avoids me in putting that extra effort to come up and do something.
Yeah, but then we also have to have that motivation, or that, some people are very comfortable with where they are, and that is absolutely fine. The fact that if we don't feel comfortable with being just normal or ordinary, then there is trouble. And if we are really wanting to make best use of this life that we have been blessed with, we definitely need to make that little, get that. I mean, I don't say that any of us here would not have taken those steps ever, or don't have that courage. We all have that courage, but you have to choose to, allow yourself to take that leap of faith. Yes, Vinita, please share.
Vivi, there is possibly the fear that doesn't let us come out of wherever we are, because it's more exploring the unknown terrain. Because when we are in a comfort zone, whether we are doing good or not, it is always that this is something that we are aware of our surroundings and all. I think that's why the toughest decisions, even when it comes to the personal life or the relationships, even if one is into a standard relationship that is not going to work out, we still keep going there, and we still there in terms of not being able to take a decisive step. That's what I feel. And of course, as you rightly said, that some people are pretty okay as where they are in terms of the success, if we can call it, there. And that's
Yeah.
how it's.
Yeah, very true, very true. And if you're fine, the thing is that one has to be peaceful and happy and in acceptance of where you are in life. But if you're not, then it's a point of reflection. Then we need to look at it, or we need to reflect on it, that what is it that I need to, that I need to look at, or what is it that I'm not looking at, and I'm so dissatisfied with my life. Because the main focus of this is to really come into a space where you are happy and satisfied with your life. And a lot of times people feel like failures. They feel that they've not been able to achieve, or they're not able to move ahead because of whatever reason. Sometimes it's destiny, sometimes it's just how their life has been, and they feel unsupported. And they always envy the ones who are so-called extraordinary or who've accomplished a lot. And that brings a lot of unrest, especially amongst the younger generation nowadays. I see a lot of that. And that is my whole reason of sort of, approaching this topic, because everybody would love to be that. And actually, everybody can be that. You have to start thinking from here, and then the rest will follow. Isn't
See,
it?
I'll just put in one more thing here. See, I'm also, we're all dealing with also youngsters and we see things around. Uh, it is very overwhelming for them to do things, and every little step counts. I think they really need to understand that part that, you cannot be where you aspire to be in one leap.
Hmm.
So gradually walking towards that will possibly, it's like a drop of water
Yeah.
fills the bucket that we just saw it in the morning and the gratitude. So
Yeah.
it makes a difference. But I think that kind of a patience is required and faith is required, I think, that we can achieve.
Absolutely. And actually, it's not, like a lot of people associate extraordinary to being very successful, being very, high-end achievers and financially very, like at that other end of the spectrum. But I don't believe that. Being extraordinary for me is doing something out of the box, not following the so-called chosen path. Like now we see a lot of children are choosing careers or are choosing paths which are not the normal ones. When we were small, there were just limited three choices: either you be a doctor or you be an engineer. Then computers started coming in, or you just, do a regular graduate course and just be a good daughter, good wife, a good mother, that way. But now children are choosing beyond that because, A, of course, a lot of exposure, options, the social media has, really opened up so much more. But also that, more choices are being given and more choices are being made. So that too is very, very important. And what I want to say with this is that the extraordinary is also by doing something different. Like, when you talk about children choosing careers which are just something to do with, say, nature, or something to do with the ecosystem, or, those kind of things which previously were nowhere in our picture, nowhere in our mindset, and they were not really even respected. But now with, so much more awareness and so many new things coming in, people are making those choices, and looking and taking those is not what the general masses would do. They would not be choosing those. They would definitely be choosing the so-called regular or the chosen path. But by taking these, by making these choices and by opening themselves and exposing them to different things, they can definitely be, they definitely stand out in a different way. Isn't it? When veganism came in, everybody was running towards that. But you have to, like you, Benita said, you have to be very patient with yourself, and you have to, all that thinking has to start in the mind, with your confidence, with your courage, with your, with your mindset. Even if it is just living a very so-called, regular kind of a life, you can definitely feel that high and that extraordinariness within you in so many ways. Pooja, you were trying to say something.
Yes, Auntie, thank you. I think you've summed up pretty well. I would like to put this into three things. One is, of course, we didn't have the awareness as to what could more be done instead of just looking at this is what I can do. Maybe I didn't, maybe at that point of time, the capabilities were limited. You didn't have the capability to grow or to be an extraordinary because आपकी बुद्धि उतना काम नहीं करती. The third thing would be the opportunities. Like you rightly said, that time we didn't had many opportunities to explore. So I think you've equally summed up well. Yeah, but I think more so also, um, even if I had the opportunities, maybe I just didn't know how to do it. You know,
Hmm.
that could perhaps be one of the reason also.
Well, that's the thing. That's the catch that you have just pointed to, Pooja, so rightly. You didn't know how to do it. So the others also didn't know how to do it. When you go into a college or you join a new class, you don't know how to do it. And that's the
Yeah.
learning, that's the exploration, that's the adventure. But for that, you require, your mindset to be a little more courageous, to be a little different from the normal mindset. And one thing I would disagree with you is that we did not have the capability. I think we all have the capability. We may
Maybe
not
until the conditioning was not there, or
yeah,
your environment was not there to push you to look at something different.
see, like even Vinita mentioned the word fear, and what you are mentioning, it's like walk on that path, no, which is safe and secure. Why do you want to step away? Why do you want to go on the other path, which you don't know what will happen? You could fall down. So fear is our default mode. It is the
Mhm.
go-to. It's the flight, fight, freeze reaction, which is the go-to point of for all our thought processes. So the moment we are walking there and we see a little, a little things which are not familiar, that's when we actually just step back and so no, no, let me just go on that path, because so many have gone there. It's absolutely okay and safe to go there. So all the time we're actually looking at that safety path, so that we are not thrown off the regular path. And but
Mhm.
those who have the courage to see, okay, so I don't know, but let me see what will happen. And that actually equates to having trust in life, having trust in the universe. And a lot of times, initially, I would say more than the capability, there were not so many resources as are available now, but there was
Correct.
people who took those kind of risks and took those kind of, say, careers and options and all that. But now it is definitely much, much more advanced, much, much more open. And yes, the choices, the capabilities, the resources are so much more, but yet there are people who don't choose that. Yet there are people who don't choose that, because walking on the path which is, say, the ordinary, is easy, it is safe, it is tried and tested. We all think that, let us do things in life which are tried and tested, so that we don't fail. We have a fear of failure, we have a fear of, it harming us in some way. But just taking that little thought, or that little leap over, think that, okay, if something has presented to me in my life which is a little different from the ordinary, that means that God thinks I'm capable of it. That is why God has put it in my lap, isn't it? And then having the courage to trust and say, okay, I don't know anything about it, but okay, let me just take the leap of faith and let me just go ahead and see what opens up. And the moment you do that, you just see how much it begins to open up for you, isn't it?
Yes,
Can I
Auntie,
just
very well
put,
put.
Yeah. Yeah, Vinita.
so I'll just put a very personal example here, and of course you know about it. So Nehal has
Yeah.
had an
I had him in
opportunity
mind
in
when I was
corporate.
mentioning this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he just said, no, I don't want to do it. He left a very cushy job and he started doing that trekking. He took that professionally. And now, as we are talking, and his heart has always been into filmmaking and all. It's such a tough line. And as parents, we've always been on the edge and telling him, you just, but then his heart's calling is here, there, and he's ready to take that plunge. You rightly said that it is possibly a trust, and I think what really, it's a very personal thing that, when we were growing up, it was a matter of survival for us. The pyramid where these young children are coming, so they're already on the three, four, stairs up from where we started, or maybe much more. So for
Yeah.
us, it was like we had to prove ourselves. There was a hunger to do it, and of course, not too many options, but at the same time, we wanted to be in the safe zone so that we don't trip. And because when we are falling off today, fortunately, these youngsters, they know that the parents are backing them, especially in this brigade of where we are talking. And when we were growing up, I think coming from smaller towns, there were not too many options, and we wanted to be proven.
Hmm. Yeah, but the thing is, it is not just about smaller towns. It is even about even bigger towns. It was not, there was always that class of, in a school, and I'm talking about, I must have finished school about, say, 40 years back. In school also, there was always there's that group of girls or students who were like so-called extraordinary. They were involved in every activity. They were chosen for all the elocutions, the dramatics, the stage things, and everyone envied them because they all wanted to be on stage, but somehow never had that courage. Of course, personality is a big thing. Some people are very extrovert and outgoing, but there were lots who could not do that and always looked at that group. And I'm saying this from my own personal experience, that I always looked at that group as somebody who was so bold and, who could stand up and who were always the favorites of the teachers. And They were always standing out. So in a way, to us, they always seemed extraordinary and we were the ordinary students. But that's really not true, because I feel that capability is there in all of us. But when life puts you in such a situation where you can take that step to, go out, when you drop that judgment, what I want to say this, it's just saying it in different words. When we stop judging ourselves, when we don't feel that kind of complex that is there within us, then we're able to take that leap of faith, isn't it? Till the time we keep judging us, then it is not possible for us to do that. So first we have to come into that space where we respect ourselves, where we honor ourselves, where we value ourselves, where we understand that whatever we are doing is is absolutely perfect in the way that I'm doing. And when we start coming into our own strength, that's when the others, that's when you step out of the ordinary and you move into the extraordinary. So the extra, what I mean to say is that that word extra is just not the external extra labor and effort. Yes, that comes to a lot naturally, but to others it may not come so naturally. But that extra has to come in here. That yes, I want to do something, and I want to do something different than just this. And it could even be in a normal, regular job. It needn't be in other ways. When we previously look at people who would run, say, cloth factories or, cloth merchants, they were running a very stereotype like kind of a thing where they were getting the school uniforms, the saris, the dress materials that way. But now that industry has also boomed in so many different ways. And so has any other industry. Just to tell you, just giving this example, because any industry that you see, whether it is food, it was all a very normal, simple, uh, regular kind of thing. There was one Indian, there was one Chinese, there was one South Indian. There was nothing beyond that. At least I cannot think of anything beyond that. Now, within Indian, there could be like 1,000 options, and within Chinese, there could be 1,000 options, isn't it? So we were very satisfied with just that because there was no exposure. And yet, there were some who ventured out and obviously started these other avenues which were present but were not we were not exposed to it. And globalization and education and exposure has definitely added to them, but that thing from inside is what I'm coming to. So those avenues were also there at that time. They were, even if those who were doctors, there was not so much of specialization. It was all just a general physician, and for certain things you would go to one doctor. But there was not this kind of specification that now whichever nerve also needs to be treated in the body, there is a special doctor for that, isn't it? So yes, the world has opened up, but it's only because people have chosen to venture out and look at new things and new opportunities and new avenues that have been presented to them. And believe me, today, if you look around in your life, there have been so many places and so many opportunities and avenues that have and are being presented to you even now. But for some reason, and I'm not blaming anybody, for some reason, you have not chosen to look at them or to step on them because it's comfortable where I am, and I don't want to disturb my inner environment and the environment around, because that's not something which is easy for one to adapt to. But whenever we want to do that extra, whenever we want to do or think or live that extra, we definitely need to be squeezed a little extra, isn't it? In whichever ways. And it may not be easy and smooth in the beginning, but it definitely gives you the courage and the strength to step into it. And sooner or later, you will be successful in that avenue. Does that make sense?
Mm. I'll just add something different here. Sometimes what happens is the opportunity is right in front of us, but somehow, or maybe as we say, it's not the right time. We just do not identify with it, or we're not able to take that step because we don't resonate with it. And the same thing when it comes maybe a year or 2 years later, then you realize, oh my God, the same thing had come. I could have done it at that point in time also. So I think internally, timing is somewhere that also should fall into place,
Yeah.
or we are not ready at that time.
Well, let us understand that timing is according to us, but it is divine timing. We feel like, we say we've heard this on our thing that, oh, had I done this 10 years before, then it would have been different. But no, it was not time for you to do it 10 years before, but it was time for you to know that, yes, this avenue also exists. But now you are ready for it and it is presenting itself to you. isn't it? So that is what you need to think. So it is a divine timing. It is not that timing. And actually, the whole focus of what I'm trying to say is the trust in the higher thing, and the yes that has to come from inside. Trust in the higher life, trust in the universe. It's not about trusting ABC or fixing ABC. It's now just stepping, moving, breaking beyond all this. That is what we need to say. Yesterday only we were having a discussion after a program, and it was that, somehow, if somebody comes to you with a problem, say it's a problem of a health or a problem of a relationship or a problem of a say financial issue that you're going through, just stop now fixing and looking at it from the small narrow lens, because that is just looking at it from a very ordinary viewpoint. डोंट थिंक अच्छा अभी ये प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, लेट मी जस्ट फिक्स दैट, अब ये प्रॉब्लम आएगी अब इसको फिक्स कर लेंगे, अब ये प्रॉब्लम आएगी इसको फिक्स कर लेंगे. Just don't do that. Just stop that totally, because that is actually very, very limiting. And that is not really allowing you to go and see that extra bit which is available to you. Let us do now one thing, like, let us now fix our focus on just moving beyond all these things to fix A, B, C, because you know that all through your life you will go on and on and on trying to fix those things, and you will come to a point where you will say, oh my God, when is this going to end? And you'll actually waste this beautiful, extraordinary life of yours, and it'll just pass away in a very ordinary way. So stop and take that pause and say, okay, so what is that one solution to all these things? Yes, whatever you need to do physically, karmically, you definitely need to do. I'm not denying that. But then look at it from a higher perspective. Look at it from a bigger lens, not from the small, narrow lens, because that is very, very draining. And that will bring you ultimately to a dead end where you say, I just give up. I just surrender to God. I just don't know what else to do. Isn't it? So say and do things where you come to a point where you say that, don't bring me to that dead end where I have to say this, that I surrender, because actually all the time we are surrendering. I heard this beautiful thing the other day, that when I really feel that I can't change anything, or I feel stuck at a point, I can't alter something, I just put that prayer on my altar and I give it to God, knowing that God will alter it. Because actually God is only altering it, isn't it? At every point, God is only altering it. So start connecting to that source that you have within you, within each one of you now. Don't wait. Don't postpone life. Don't wait for you to hit a dead end and then say or feel that, oh, my life is just passing by and I don't think I've done anything or achieved anything in life. You've achieved. Whatever you have done has been an achievement, isn't it? Whatever you have done has been an achievement. Even simple things like when we get into something, it is new. It doesn't have to only be professional. It doesn't only have to be giving you a certificate or a bank balance or a badge that you have done something extraordinary. Do it from your heart. And that's when you'll understand that, yes, you have broken some comfort zone and you have stepped up and stepped out. And that is your extraordinary life, because each one of us has that ability and capability within us. What do you say? Monica? Hermeet? Any reflections?
Sujata, what you said is so, so true. And for that, I think we have to, like, when you started this conversation, I was thinking, but circumstances didn't allow me. Circumstances didn't allow me, to even, I mean, whatever my circumstances might have been. But then when the end you said, okay, now now I feel like, okay, at this late in my life, what is left now? All opportunities are shut. But then what you say is true, that try to move beyond everything.
Yeah. Break out of that
Because
comfort zone. Absolutely, Anjali. Absolutely. And we can't blame circumstances. We can't keep blaming situations outside. We always understand that. The shift has to come from inside, because you have it in with you. If you feel that the opportunity came to you, but somehow you could not take it, You don't have to beat yourself up, but because as I said, it was not meant to be at that time. But yes, it is for you to understand and reflect that, yes, and now next time that opportunity comes, I will definitely grasp it. Forget about the circumstances. Be your own, you know, hold yourself with your own strength. Don't keep holding on to these crutches and feel, oh, now this has fallen, now that has fallen. How can I walk? No, just learn to walk and run on your own and do little, but do as much as you can, and that's more than enough for you.
Got it.
Yeah. Yesterday
Got
only I was talking when I was talking about this conversation that, sometimes life just takes you as if, and you feel as if you're just being squeezed. And I was giving the example of, watching while I was on this trip, which I mentioned last week also, that in Indore there were these various sugarcane, every corner there was a sugarcane juice person, and they would squeeze the sugarcane. You would, literally wring it like that and put it in the machine as if, then they say, बिल्कुल ही वो निकाल रहा है. And sometimes in life you feel, gosh, I'm really being squeezed to that level and I just don't know what else I can do, or that pain that you go through, or that point that, oh God, so much, this is also not happening, that is also not happening, I have to look at this. And you really feel at that time that, oh gosh, you're going into that. But that moment, if you can just understand that it's okay and God is looking after everything, and you just have to trust, you just have to sit back and trust, then you see that how well you will be supported and how your circumstances, which you say are not supporting you, will support you. We rush into fixing this. Abhi ye band-aid laga dete, abhi wo band-aid laga dete, and we don't go to the whole depth of it. And we exhaust ourselves doing those things, isn't it? We exhaust ourselves doing those things.
Totally. And after a point, it's like, I can't go on anymore. And that's, I think, when you start surrendering.
Absolutely. So when you know that, and actually, why do you have to wait to come to that point of exhaustion? Why do you have to wait to come to that point of exhaustion? Just step back and say, it's absolutely okay. Like, I can't, and actually I'm not. Like I mentioned last time, take that remote control back. Circumstances and all this is only excuses that our mind brings up to pacify us. But that's not true. That's just not true. The circumstances are pushing you. Now, like I said, till the time you're not pushed into the deeper end of the pool, will you learn to swim? You'll just keep holding on to the side and just keep walking on the shallow end. You'll never learn to swim. So you have to get into that fearful state. Just think, when you jump into the deeper end, doesn't fear come in? Of course, fear comes in. But when the fear comes in, that's when you learn to splash your hands and you learn to swim. Before you know it, you'll be swimming. So those situations in your life will come which seem unfavorable, which seem as if they're not allowing you to move ahead. But use those situations use those ordinary situations to make your life extraordinary. Whether it is people who are challenging you, whether it is, careers that are coming, whether it is tough times that are coming, whether it is people who are sort of betraying you or putting you down, just understand that they're just pushing you to the deeper end of the pool because you have the ability to swim. 100% you have the ability to swim. And then you just surrender and you'll see how beautifully you'll float. Isn't it?
True.
Yeah. So just come into
Are
that.
you going to send a recording of this talk, Sujata?
Yes, definitely. Srishti and Tanvi are recording it here and we will send it out. And
Thank
even
you.
this seems like a topic which is more, to do with, maybe not so much to do with the mindset, more to do with, like how one would achieve more and would stand out more. I believe it all starts from inside. It all starts from a very, very basic level and from a very, very basic point. And then once you have that kind of motivation inside you, or the courage inside you, and you feel, then you come to the second point where you're saying, oh, the situation around is not supporting me or circumstances are not supporting me. That's also not true, because you have to look just beyond the ordinary lens. In the ordinary lens, in any which way, for all of us, in many, many things, the circumstances are not favoring us because it's a comfort zone, and those circumstances actually have been defined by us. But to be that, take that one step ahead is only when you break out of your comfort zone. And so many of us make our comfort zone, that uncomfortable comfort zone, we make it as a comfort zone. isn't it? So a lot of good things, a lot of so-called, things that in society are not looked at as good, but so much is happening now. You know, even look at the way women are progressing, look at the way they are educating, look at the way they are out into so many avenues and all, and they're excelling in every field. I mean, it's something so normal now. But when we were growing up, there were just about a handful of women whom we could point to and say that, yeah, these are the very extraordinary. And it was already always a very different kind of a society and a setup. But just because a few, that thing came in to educate women, and then women got that freedom or that strength to step out, many couldn't. Many couldn't. They just stayed in their own comfort zones. And that's also fine. They're not ready for it. That's also fine. And I used to tell this to so many women, don't think that, you're not working, as in you're not getting the pay packet into the house. So you are absolutely ordinary. That's not true. Just tell everybody to manage the house one day without you. It's only because of you that they can go out and earn, and they come back and have a comfortable meal on their table. If they had to do that, they wouldn't be able to, live their lives in that way. You are providing that comfort to them to be able to go out and work and earn. So don't think that what you are doing is anything less than extraordinary. In fact, it's tougher to be home and run the whole show. You have to applaud yourself for that. So don't think it only has to be in the outside world. We have to acknowledge the things that we are doing at the basic grassroots level. Even if it is those parents initially who had the courage to send their daughters out or to send their children out, initially it does take courage in every which way. So whatever you are doing, don't think you're doing something which is just simple or just, this is something so normal and ordinary. It's not. It's absolutely not. Whatever you are doing, whether you're a homemaker or whether you are just, you're working in a simple bank or a simple office, or you are you're the topmost, say, a doctor in some big hospital. Everybody starts from some point where they choose to take something different, isn't it? And believe me, each one of you has that ability to choose and step out of the ordinary and make it extraordinary. And look at it from that lens, look at the life, look at situation, look at people from that lens. Now, if I ask just we are a handful of people here, if I ask all of you, do you think you've lived an extraordinary life? Yes, from the point of misery, I'm sure I'll get all yeses. Everybody will raise their hand that, yeah, I have had the most extraordinary, miserable, tough life. But if I talk in terms of the positivity, I don't think many would be able to raise their hands, because we are not able to see it from that lens, isn't it? You're not able to see it from that lens.
True, true.
Yeah. And
And
thank you for sharing that, Anjali, because I really hear you.
true, and it is only now at the age of 61 that I feel I wasted my life because of all of this. But
No,
but
what is
again I find myself going back and getting stuck in the same garbage.
you have to break out of that. You are only sweet 16. Don't look at it from this way. I'm looking at it from the other side. You have your whole
Got
life
it.
in front of you.
Thank you.
Don't think that way. Yes, our bodies may have slowed down. We may not be capable physically of doing so much that we could do, but there's a lot that we can do, because this doesn't age. This
And
doesn't.
we are capable of happiness.
That is our core. That is our natural way of being. That is who we are. Why are we not? What is the capability of happiness? See, there's so much of happiness in your voice. You've not done any.
True.
We've not done anything, but that is just that you have to press that channel of happiness, which is there all the time, but we choose to look at the other channels, isn't it? There's the remote control with channels of happiness, joy, and there's one of guilt, fear, anxiety. So now you press the button, it's totally remote control is in your hand, isn't it?
Exactly. Exactly.
No, they all exist. That happiness exists, anger exists, guilt exists, hate exists, everything exists. You choose which button you want to press, which channel you want to see today.
And the worst thing is, when I get into that, oh, all the people who have hurt me are doing so well in life and I'm struggling. And I'd really have to stop myself. I was like, stop, stop, stop. You can't go there. then your confidence comes down again. And I said, this is where it all started. I have to stop, you know.
Yeah. So I'm going to take your example, since you've been courageous enough to share that, when you see all the other people who have hurt you, they are very successful and you feel bad, or you feel, small when you think of that. Those are the people who are telling you to now turn around, Anjali. They are your biggest supporters. Thank them for hurting you. Because if you would not know about hurt, you would not know about happiness.
That
But
is true.
yeah, and
That is very
actually,
true.
they have not hurt you. They just pressed that hurt button and you allowed yourself to watch that movie. That's all. They have just pressed a button, but you allowed yourself to see that movie. So, sorry, in the same way, you can just choose to say, okay, keep pressing whatever buttons. My channel is fixed on happiness. I don't care. And
Got it.
in the same way, bless them that they may also be where they are. Because if you fall into that space that they have hurt me and they have, till the time your focus is outside on they and them and you, then the focus is absolutely wrong. Shift it to yourself. You have allowed yourself to be hurt for whatever they did, but you are not answerable to their actions, isn't it? You
True.
can choose not to be hurt. They may keep doing whatever they are doing. They may still do the same things, but you choose not to be hurt because that doesn't belong to you. Don't give that power to anybody. Don't give that power to anybody. The moment you understand that, you're out of the ordinary spectrum and you're already into the extraordinary spectrum.
Spectrum.
Take your own power back. Take your own power back.
Thank you. And actually, I would like these girls to learn from my life experience. Like, they don't have to wait 60 years for this.
Nobody has, it's not about anybody. And you also don't think that 60 years is any big deal, that you can't do anything now. You can just have that trust. And what do you
Got
want
it.
to do? What do you want to do? We don't want to accomplish things. The end of everything else is that we want to be happy, isn't it?
Exactly.
Right? You just choose to
Exactly.
stay in the happy mode. You just choose to be in that happy panel of joy and happiness, and the rest will just keep falling into your lap. Believe me, it will keep falling into your lap. And those people, so-called people who have hurt you, will look at you and say, wow, I wish we could be as happy as Anjali. But
Got it.
you have to stand your own ground. You don't have to be swayed away by somebody coming and hitting you and making you feel hurt and then guilt and then shame and then anger and that. Just stop all that. Just give it back.
Got it. End of that. Got it.
Yes.
And I go through those phases when I go through those phases when I feel that happiness, and then I allow myself to go back into the garbage.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But the fact is that you know that you're going back into the garbage, isn't it? Would you want to go into the
Yes.
garbage? Go
No.
back. When it starts to stink, when it starts to smell, you're feeling uncomfortable, step away. Step away and say, I'm not going into that garbage. I mean, why am I know it is garbage. Why am I going there? But it's so victimized and so comfortable to fall into that helpless, victimized state and say, okay, they did this. I can't do anything. Now my life is ruined. I'm 61. Ab to kuch nahi ho sakta. But that's not true at all. At least I can be out of that garbage, if nothing else.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Then you'll see that when you're out of the garbage, you'll see the fragrance coming from people, from things, and from life all around you. But please
Very true.
dump that garbage every day, like you throw the garbage from your house every day. If 2 days it's lying in the house, how much it stinks and what a mess it is, isn't it?
Yes.
So why do you want to hold on to that garbage inside here? So dump it out every day. Don't even wait for the whole day to pass. Just dump it out. The moment you feel this is stinking, out. This doesn't belong to me. It has to be in the dustbin. You are not a dustbin.
True. Yes.
Yeah. So, no,
Yes.
actually, each one of us, now look at you. When I just look at you, when you started speaking, it was like my screen is blank. It's like my circumstances, my life, your whole energy was low. And now, when you start feeling that energy within you, I have not done anything. You've only spoken and spilled out the garbage, isn't it? You
Yes.
radiant face, everybody can see it on the screen, and how beautiful and how so called extraordinary you look and how special you look. And that's true for everyone here. But you only have to shift and say, I don't, this doesn't belong to me. And step out of it. It doesn't require anything. It just requires this switch.
That's true, because beginning of this conversation, I was not where I wanted to be, and I suddenly feel lighter, and I
Absolutely.
feel like to hell with everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To hell with everything. I am in my heaven, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. The hell is the ordinary and the heaven is the extraordinary, isn't it?
yes,
Absolutely.
true.
And all of us only deserve to be in the extraordinary. No, none of us are going to be in the ordinary because we aren't that. Right?
Exactly. And for that, you don't have to have a bank balance. You don't have to have, you don't have to have all those
Have
things.
those badges. You don't have need to have a very extraordinary education. You don't need to have. I mean, we see people on so many times. You see these people sleeping on the street. I mean, they don't even know whether they're going to get the next meal, but they're sleeping so peacefully. They're listening to music. They're dancing. They don't have all these things that we can even they can't even think of the things that we have. Honestly, if I may say it that way, we are so privileged.
Yes,
Right? But see how
yes,
happy they are. They are like just dancing. You see these children. There's a construction happening here. Just see those children. They're just so happy and peaceful. They're not concerned about tomorrow or the future or what happened. It's like just live for today. You're getting your daily wages. Your aaj mila hai, kal bhi milega. Sleep peacefully. And they're sleeping in the fresh nature. No ACs, no nothing, no heat, no cold. They feel hot. They just, like somebody was telling me next to a mandir here that I just wet the little mattress. I put water. It's so cool. And I go off to sleep and I just get up in the morning. It's like God's AC is running for them all the time, isn't it? So,
true.
yeah, just live each day, each moment. And that's just so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
And
Sujata.
I had me
Good
so good to
morning.
see
Yeah,
you.
I was getting ready for my storytelling, but I said I'll just stop and say hi. I was not able to switch on the video because it was a little hectic arranging all the thing.
No
But
problem.
thank you so much for the positive talk. I love the smile on Anjali's face. I know how much she has been through. So I'm
Thank
really happy that
you.
she's connecting to you, and you like source of positivity to everyone on Sunday morning. So that's a great thing. Great job you're doing.
Thank you.
So yeah, and I totally agree that age is not a matter, because for me, many of the positive changes came in the after 50s. After 50s, I started exploring myself. I started trying out new things, and स्टिल आई एम अमेज्ड एंड अभी भी मुझे लगता है कि मैं पता नहीं और क्या करने वाली हूँ, मतलब एवरी डे आई फील कि मैं कुछ नया ही करूंगी, कुछ ऐसा. I may not be very good at it, but it makes me happy. That's my criteria, not the excellence part of it, and having the courage to try new things. So I think it's never too late to try. Life is, and I always love that saying, Sujata, that you are as blessed as you think you are blessed.
Absolutely.
That has transformed my life. That saying,
Yeah.
since I have started thinking that I'm blessed, everyone thinks that आपको तो कोई परेशानी ही नहीं है, आप तो कितने अच्छे हो. तो पहले मुझे कोई ऐसा बोलता था, तो I used to think कि हाँ, इनको क्या पता, that's the thought. But now I think I'm really blessed. When I look at these people, I feel that I'm really blessed because I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy inside.
You acknowledge your blessings, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
I
focus
do.
on your blessings. Those people also have the same bounty of blessings and they have the same bounty of so-called, the troubles in their lives. But you choose to focus on the blessings, right? Even what you are doing is something so different. I mean, all people here should know, like you're a storyteller. You tell stories to children and whichever ways. I mean, I've seen you on Instagram and all. It's just so wonderful. Just imagine at this age doing and connecting to that energy of
Yeah.
children, making up those puppets and making up those faces. I mean, wow, it's so wonderful. How many of
So
us have such kind of
Sujata, I do it with my heart and soul. And will you believe that every month I think कि इतने बच्चे नहीं आते, इतना कोई response नहीं है, तो I'll stop. Why I'm doing. Whenever I have that thought in my mind, a phone call comes.
yeah,
Ma'am, you're doing such a good job. My kid simply wants to listen to your story. We were missing you. I don't know why. God always sends me this reminder. The
yeah,
day I start thinking, कि अरे बहुत हो गया, मतलब what am I getting? Let's leave it now. Let's stop it. And those days people start calling me up. they start connecting कि मैम we want to listen. So मैं सोचती हूँ कि चलो चलने देते हैं, let's see, just have fun.
Yeah, yeah, and God is sending you the message कि बिल्कुल चलने दो. You don't have to stop because you are educating children in such a different way. See, children are so addicted to devices nowadays. At least they're using
Yeah,
it for that time when they're listening to a story in a different way rather than just scrolling through an
yes,
iPad, scrolling through a phone, isn't it? So
yeah.
yeah, it was so
It works
wonderful.
both ways. I'm also getting energy from them, so it works both
Absolutely,
ways.
absolutely. The energy of children is so refreshing, and so that's what how much they live in the moment. Last
Yeah.
night we were out at my sister's house, and she has a small grandson who's about 2.5 years old, and his father was saying that we were just talking about something, and I don't know how it came up, but it was like how they're in the present moment. I was only trying to explain. So he said that his wife, meaning that little boy's mother will be very satisfied because she'll tell him, okay, तने आज chocolate खा लेना फिर next week नहीं मिलेगी. So he'll say, हाँ मम्मा, promise. But next week तो कभी उसके ध्यान में है ही नहीं ना कि next
I
he said my wife is also very happy because she feels the child is listening to him. But next week तक तो वो उसको याद ही नहीं होता, and he'll just throw a tantrum, and then she'll say, अच्छा आज दे रही थी तो कल नहीं, and he'll say, yes mama, I promise कल नहीं, so honestly and so sincerely. But he said, his wife was not looking at the fact that the child was just in the moment. So for him, next week doesn't even exist. But both of them were getting so happy and satisfied because वो बच्चे को chocolate भी मिली थी, और mother was satisfied that the child is for now promising me.
very obedient, yes, very
Yeah,
obedient
so
and
it was like
listening
just how we have to be so present and just promise ourselves for this moment and live our lives to the
to.
fullest. कल की कल देखेंगे जो होएगा, just smile now, be that special person, enjoy it. And
Yes,
ठीक है, troubles are there at the back of everybody's life. I mean, who doesn't have it? But count your blessings and you'll see how the troubles will just be wiped away with the blessings. I
yes,
always say the troubles are the negative force, isn't it? Whenever you even put in a battery, if you put the positive, immediately the negative current dissipates,
yes.
isn't it? It's just
Sujata, sorry, I'll have to leave now.
go
It's
ahead.
my
We are also
time.
leaving. I also have a class at 11:30. Thank
Oh,
you
me
so much
too.
for your sharing, Harmeet.
Thank
Thank you
you.
and keep
Okay,
coming.
bye-bye. Thank you.
So the moment you actually put in that positive energy and you count your blessings, the negativity will just dissipate because it is something which will just be neutralized or dissipated with the positive current. So just keep counting your blessings, that extraordinary thing that exists in each one of you. And it's not that you've wasted your life, Anjali. You've lived your life to the fullest. You've done whatever you were supposed to do in those phases of your life. So cherish yourself, acknowledge yourself. That's also a very big,
Important.
right? So pat yourself on the back that you could sail through that. And it's like, a lot of times people say, okay, now I've got married, now I'm busy with the children, now I'm busy with the household. Their education is very important, the housework is very important. Then they start going to school. Then it's like I have to take them for extra classes. I don't have any time for myself. Then the university starts off, and by the time they, are in university and you're settling them down and you're looking at things and you feel, oh, I'm already 50 or 60. Now where do I have time for myself? But that time, that was your priority. So just set it out for that. And it is just so beautiful, right? So don't think you have ever wasted life. God has never allowed any one of us to waste life. Look at those as your stepping stones. Some learn like this, some take some time, some keep going like this, and then they go. Everybody is different and everybody is more than extraordinary. So extraordinary. Each one of
Thank you.
you here are. Yeah, so just look at that, look at life now from that extraordinary lens. Just wipe off this ordinary lens and you will see how beautiful life is and how much you are blessed, and how in so many ways you can take your life ahead in such special ways. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming, and God bless you all. Keep coming, keep joining, keep sharing.